Live from the Jersey Shore to the world. Get up, get out, do something. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Take the show wherever you go. Download the free Radio Pup app for your smartphone or tablet. Join the conversation. 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Good morning and welcome back to Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. It is already 7:08 in the morning on Thursday, September 29th. It is raining here in downtown Toms River. It's about 60 degrees, high of about 66 today. So a good day to get out the umbrellas, the raincoats, and probably a good day to make sure that you are prepared for the weather, but you still should always get up, get out, and do something. And that is a perfect lead-in to my next guest, who I cannot, I'm always teasing him. I cannot imagine that he ever sleeps. I originally thought I was going to be calling him in San Francisco, but he is in North Jersey this morning, and I'm very happy to introduce Reverend Fletcher Harper, who is the Executive Director of GreenFaith. Good morning.
Hey, Phil. How are you?
I am doing very well. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing okay.
I already teased you. You've been to the gym this morning already.
Well, I'm sure many of your good listeners have too. We know you couldn't because you had to get up at all hours of the morning to get on the air, but I'm sure lots of your listeners have been there too.
I'm going to use that as my excuse.
There you go.
That works for me. So let's talk a little bit about you and GreenFaith. And all full disclosure, I do sit on the board of directors of GreenFaith. I am very happy and also humbled to work with you on a daily basis. And so tell us about yourself as well as how you got involved in GreenFaith.
So I'm an Episcopal priest, and I was a parish priest in the 90s in Bergen County, and became involved in the late 90s on a volunteer basis with a small startup all-volunteer organization that was at the time called Partners for Environmental Quality, which was focused on this sort of weird idea to a lot of people at the time of trying to get different faith communities engaged with environmental concerns in various ways. And one thing led to another. I was able to become the head of the organization. I left parish ministry and made this my full-time ministry and work. And we work with churches, synagogues, mosques, temples, faith-based schools around New Jersey, around the country, and now some internationally on environmental issues. So it's been an interesting growth area for religion. It's growing rapidly, and it's starting to make a real difference.
Yeah, and again, I mean, and what you're talking about is taking your one passion for religion and kind of intertwining it with a second passion.
Yep, and for me, where it came from, I mean, I was fortunate growing up to be able to spend time outdoors, and what I found, and I found this is true for everybody, whatever their sort of religious, ethnic, political, cultural background, is that people have these experiences outdoors where if you ask people where they've had their most powerful, meaningful spiritual experience, about 2/3 of all people are going to tell you that it happened outdoors, and yet very few religious institutions talk actively about this. And so there's this motherlode of appreciation and gratitude that really sort of cuts across the spectrum politically in terms of people appreciate the incredible gift that the natural world is. They feel we've got a responsibility to take care of it. And they feel like it's important for us to wake up and get on with that.
Yeah, and I love the fact, and you kind of just hit upon it. I mean, we are reaching across, every religious boundary and bringing everybody together in a common cause about protecting the environment and awareness. And really, I know, in my synagogue, in probably the past 5 years, we've talked more about protecting the environment and water resources, and we've talked about Israel's, issues relative to water and about drought situations and water resources more than I ever remember. So it really has become a new awareness.
Yeah, it's become it's getting real at this point for religious groups. I mean, last year a lot of people heard about the fact that Pope Francis issued an encyclical, a sort of really high-level Catholic teaching talking about the importance of protecting what he called our common home. And we've seen religious leaders all over the world step up and start saying that, this is something we've got to do now. And the thing is that, it's too bad in this country it's become very politicized, and I think that's a huge mistake. I mean, if you look at the major advances in this country in terms of environmental legislation, many of them took place under Republican administrations. I mean, Richard Nixon was the one who established the Environmental Protection Agency. Right. Many of the most influential and effective directors of the EPA have been Republicans. So it's the sort of thing where I think we've got to sort of dial back the political posturing on this, and because the issue is, everybody raise your hand if you were affected by Superstorm Sandy. I mean, it's very, very sort of, it's beyond question that those kinds of storms are one of the things that we see with more and more climate change. And if what we want is a future where we're digging out from those storms every couple of years, I don't know about you, but that's not a future that I want.
No, definitely not a future I want. But I think, and the unfortunate part is that's when people wake up. And At that point, it's too late. You really need to be ahead of the game, and you really need to be, part of the program, part of the solution, and really get engaged in climate change awareness, in protection of the environment, because when we have those catastrophic events, at that point, it's recovery.
Well, and that's where I think the faith communities can play an important role, because faith communities take on morally important issues in and out of season. Faith communities are always working on trying to help people who are poor get a leg up and get out of poverty. They're always trying to help people who are hungry, who don't have enough to eat. They don't they don't wait until faith communities respond to disasters, but they do stuff in and out of season, and that's one of the things that we think they can help do around these issues, is just basically say, look, this is, we want to take care and help out people who fall on hard times, and we need to take care of the home that we share, which is this planet, and here are some basic steps that we can take. And another thing that's really, I think, a positive with this is with the congregations we work with, we're the best thing that's happened to them financially in quite a long time. I mean, there's an awful lot of energy that most religious institutions and households waste. We do a lot of work helping train religious facility managers on how to operate their facilities in a greener manner, and that's great for the environment, but it's also a real economic benefit. I mean, right now, the way that we sort of waste energy in this country, we might as well take stacks of $100 bills out and just light them up in the barbecue pit. I mean, it's crazy the amount of energy that gets wasted, and that's that's the other piece of the picture that's sort of interesting to me with this is these the values that this is about. These values of conservation and kind of frugality and not wasting stuff. I mean, where I come from, those are conservative values, and those are the kind of values that my Republican parents and grandparents were all about.
Right, and I mean and it's very interesting because what you're talking about are almost simple fixes within the house of worship, and relative to energy efficiency, recycling, and things. And the bigger picture of it is, if the house of worship is behind it and does it, that makes its way out to its congregants. And then that's what makes the awareness and all out to the entire community. So we have to go to a quick break right here. When we come back, I want to talk about how we get out to those houses of worship, how we get people involved in our country, and really even closer to home, in our small communities, and make sure that they're part of the solution. We'll be back in a moment.
Connect with Jeremy, 732-505-1160. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio WOBM AM 1160, 1310, and WOBMAN.com.
Good morning and welcome back to Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. I'm Phil Brilliant, substituting for Jeremy this morning. It is 7:20 on September 29th, and we're continuing our conversation with Reverend Fletcher Harper of GreenFaith. When we went to break, throughout the little teaser of how houses of worship and individuals get involved in GreenFaith and learn more about how they can do more to help their environment.
So we've got a number of ways that folks get involved, Phil. One is we do, as I said a couple of minutes ago, the state of New Jersey has incredible rebates and incentives to help institutions, small businesses, big businesses, households retrofit their facilities to be more energy efficient. The vast majority of religious institutions aren't aware of that. So we work with faith-based institutions around the state to help get them connected with those incentives. They get a free energy audit, which outlines different energy efficiency opportunities. The state will pay for a portion of those retrofits through the Societal Benefits Fund that all utility ratepayers in the state pay a few pennies into each month. And the state will pay for up to 70% of the cost of those retrofits. So when you're talking about, energy efficient lighting, new HVAC equipment, new boiler or furnace, that's real money. And so that's one of the ways that we've worked with several hundred congregations around the state to help them go through that process and take advantage of those incentives. So that's one way that folks get involved. Another way that folks get involved is we're always working on organizing different kinds of actions and mobilizations and programs that congregations can take part in. This past weekend, for example, we launched a new initiative called Food Waste Weekend. And you might be asking, why is that connected with the environment? Well, we waste in this country between 35 and 40% of all of the food that is grown and produced. And that's obviously ridiculously wasteful. It's also an environmental train wreck because if you think about all of the natural resources that are wasted in terms of all the water that's used, the energy that's used to grow the food and to transport it to market, that sort of thing, that's ridiculous. And then when food gets thrown out, it goes into landfills where it rots and it releases a huge amount of greenhouse gas emissions. So it's a humanitarian and environmental issue. So we've got resources that congregations can use to do a sermon, so their clergy person can do a sermon or a teaching on the topic. We've got a pledge that congregations can take to that they're going to do their best to reduce food waste in their own communities, and that's there's a website, foodwasteweekend.org, that folks can go to for that. So we've got a lot of different ways that folks can get involved. Our website is greenfaith.org, and people can check out things there as well.
Yeah, you beat me to the punch. I was about to say our website, and also on the website it has like startup kits on how religious institutions can get involved, and then it also outlines all of the programs that are available from the certification program, the fellowships, as well as the GreenFaith Shield.
Yep.
Everything is outlined because there's a lot that I think GreenFaith can bring to the faith-based communities to make them aware. At the same time, we are always looking for the faith-based communities to bring to us not only their volunteers and their members, but their awareness, their issues, their problems, so that we can look at how best to handle these from a community side.
Yep, and you mentioned the SHIELD program, which I'll say a few things about. It's essentially like a scouting merit badge for congregations on environmental stuff. So a congregation can earn the energy shield or the water shield. Those are the two we've got so far. And what they do is they carve out a weekend during which time they're going to take some basic steps in their own congregation to conserve water or to conserve energy. They're going to give their members some basic take-home steps that they can do at home. And you earn the shield by taking those basic steps at the congregational level by having a sermon or a spoken teaching or a lesson of some kind about the issue, and then and by getting at least 15% of your members to take steps at home. And we found congregations love this. I mean, they get 40-50% of their members taking some basic steps. It makes it a sociable thing. Makes it fun. It makes it something that folks are doing together. So that's something that we're really happy about.
And not to say anything disparaging about clergy, because I know you being clergy, and I'm sure my clergy are listening also, it gives you a topic and it gives you something that is more than just the standard type of sermon that gets everybody in the congregation involved. It's different, and you don't have to sit down and write sermons all week.
Yep, Makes it real, too.
I mean,
I think that's, what people want when they go to synagogue, to church, to temple. What folks want is they want something that connects with their lives and that makes a meaningful difference, and that's what this is about.
And all of these tools, all the material, and all the literatures are on the website at greenfaith.org. We're going to be heading off to a news break. When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the fundraising aspect of Green Faith, as also we are going to give Reverend Harper the magic wand and see what he does with Jeremy Grunin's magic wand. Back in a moment.
The news never stops at WOBMAM.com. Get the latest from WOBM News, the Town Square, New Jersey News Network, and Fox News Radio. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 at 1310. Live from the Bob Levy Broadcast Center, overlooking the Toms River. It's time to get up, get out, do something. Wake up with Jeremy Grunin. Be a part of the show, 732-505-1160. News Talk Radio, WOBM AM 1160 and 1310. Listen online at WOBMAM.com.
Good morning and welcome back to Wake Up with Jeremy Grunin. I am Phil Brilliant, substituting for Jeremy this morning, Thursday, September 29th at 7:35 in the morning. And we are continuing our conversation with Reverend Fletcher Harper, the Executive Director of GreenFaith. So when we went off to the news break, what I had thrown out there was a little bit talking about, so GreenFaith is a religious nonprofit organization. So I'm assuming, though I know the answer to this because I'm on the board, most of our money comes from grants and donations.
Yep, that's absolutely correct. We get about 80% of our budget from grants and donations, another 20% from people in congregations paying us fees for the various services that we offer. But we make a lot of programs and resources available to congregations at no charge because that's what we're in business to do. So we rely on folks' generosity.
Yeah, and I know that at the website, greenfaith.org, there is an opportunity to make a donation on that website. And I also think, it's something, people make donations for different reasons, and this has multiple reasons. It's the fact that you are supporting a religious organization that is helping all religions and everybody come together, as well as the fact that you're helping protect the environment.
Yep. I mean, this is, we find some people, a lot of the people who support us do so as an expression of their religious beliefs or their faith. They feel that protecting the environment is a moral issue, and they want to express their concern about the environment through a moral or religious lens, and so that's one of the things that we also find, and this has been interesting. I mean, we find that we have a number of people who support us who may fall into the sort of spiritual but not religious category, and yet they have a real strong sense of spirituality or ethics around the environment, and we serve as an expression of that. And then we have other folks where we've done good stuff with their congregation, and they like what they see, and they've supported us based on that too. So, and what we find is, as an example, we've got a new initiative that we're starting, which is called GreenFaith Circles, which is based on the idea not unlike, say, Habitat for Humanity or Family Promise or other groups that have a sort of an approach to franchising their work through faith communities around the country. GreenFaith Circles are going to be gathering places, local hubs for faith groups to come together to address these issues. And we'd love to get some GreenFaith Circles started in Ocean, Monmouth counties. We're just in a startup phase with this, and in order to do that, we've got to be able to allocate some time to do the organizing work around that, and support from your listeners would help make that possible.
I think that's great. I think that is something that, in our communities down here in Ocean and Monmouth County, I think bringing different religious backgrounds together and people, crossing different lines they may not necessarily be commonplace is actually needed down here also. So this is something you and I are going to have to talk about, because maybe I need to take a lead down here in Ocean and Monmouth County.
That'd be great. I mean, it's and it's needed everywhere. I mean, look, we live in a time. I mean, you don't have to be a rocket scientist to look at the news and see the forces out there that are kind of pitting people against each other. And a big part of what we're about is bringing people together. There are a huge number of shared values that people from different faiths have. And, we've, each of us, anybody who's a member of a religious organization knows that, that you get a variety of people within your own congregation. And everybody also knows that there's, enormous, it's just really good to be able to come together with folks from different traditions. We find that, obviously, and we've talked most about the environmental side of the equation, but we find that people are really interested when they get to connect up with people who are, if they're a church member, if they connect up with folks from synagogues in their areas, with mosques in their area, with Hindu temples. I mean, there's, South Jersey has an incredible amount of cultural and religious diversity, and yet for the most part, we don't cross those boundaries. And when you do it, it's really interesting.
People are always interested to see the diversity and learn a little bit more about the other side. And so I'm going to tell you that this is going to bring us to the time, though, that I'm going to give you the Jeremy Grunin magic wand. And with this wand, and we sprinkle some fairy dust around the studio here, which we clean up later, that it's the opportunity for you to change your sector, change your organization, change the world with unlimited resources. Don't worry about money. You can do whatever you want to do with that wand.
So what I would say is I would like, and this may be surprising, but I would like there to be a GreenFaith circle in every county in the country and every county or province in the world, because I really do believe that the way in which we get change at the level that it's needed is through locally driven grassroots action, and that if that kind of movement infrastructure is in place, then we're going to end up with the laws that we need at the national level and the agreements that we need internationally to get us where we need to pass on a healthy environment to our kids.
Yeah, I mean,
so that might, my wish would be to have that kind of local organizing infrastructure in place.
Yeah, because you're really right, because the little guys are what move the big rocks. And I think you need to get everybody involved and everybody engaged to make a difference.
Yeah, and this is, I'm just going to make a direct appeal, if I can, to your listeners, which is that if you're interested in exploring more about getting a GreenFaith circle started, give us a call. Our website is greenfaith.org. All of our contact information is there. Reach out, be in touch with us. We've got a person that we've just brought on full time to work on organizing these circles. We think that it's time. We know that the idea that we've got is a good one, and we know that it works. And it's we want to spread that, and we've got a meeting with a circle that's getting started up in central Bergen County tonight. We'd love to get some exploratory meetings going in Ocean and Monmouth County.
That is great, and you actually it was good. It was GreenFaith.org.
Yep.
And also the office number, 732-565-7740. People can call to find out more information as well as get involved. Reverend Harper, I appreciate you joining me this morning. Thank you very much. Everything that you do for GreenFaith as well as for all of us in protecting the environment.
Thanks for the chance to be with you.
Okay, have a great day. I'll be back in a moment.